All right, today we're jumping into the history of Bitcoin, and let me tell you, it's a wild ride. We're talking about an anonymous genius, the most expensive pizza in history, and a big question that could literally change how we think about money.
So let's kick things off with the biggest mystery of all. Who is Satoshi Nakamoto? Seriously, nobody knows. This person, or maybe it was a whole group of people, dropped the master plan for Bitcoin on the world, and then, poof, vanished. And this isn't just a fun fact, you guys. This mystery is at the very heart of what Bitcoin is all about: decentralization. But an idea like Bitcoin doesn't just pop up overnight. Not at all. It was actually built on decades of thinking and work by this amazing community called the cypherpunks. These were computer scientists and privacy nuts who had this dream of creating a digital cash that nobody, no bank, no government, could control. So let's rewind a bit and look at the groundwork. Because long before Satoshi ever showed up, some really brilliant people were already trying to solve this puzzle of digital money. Yeah, check this out. The ideas that make Bitcoin tick, they were bubbling under the surface for decades. I mean, all the way back in 1982, you had David Chaum with something called DigiCash. Fast forward to 1998, and you get two huge ones, Wei Dai's B-Money and Nick Szabo's BitGold. And BitGold, wow, it was almost a blueprint for what Bitcoin would become. Now, none of these really took off with the public, but they were absolutely crucial. They laid all the intellectual groundwork, the stage was set, they just needed the perfect moment to light the fuse. And then, 2008 happened, the global financial crisis. It was the perfect storm. Trust in banks, in governments, in the whole system, it just evaporated. People watched as these huge institutions got bailed out, and suddenly that cypherpunk dream of a financial system that didn't need any of them, well, it didn't seem so crazy anymore. It started to feel like a necessity. And that right there, that was the perfect moment, the perfect backdrop for Bitcoin to make its mysterious entrance. So here's how it all went down. It started super quietly. August 2008, the domain name bitcoin.org gets registered. No one knows by who. Then, on Halloween of all days, this white paper just appears on a cryptography mailing list. Boom. By January 3rd, 2009, the Bitcoin network is officially live. The first block, they call it the Genesis block, is mined. And get this, Satoshi embedded a little message in that block's code, a newspaper headline from that exact day. Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. Talk about a statement, right? Just 9 days after that, we see the very first transaction, a little test between Satoshi and a developer named Hal Finney. For the first year or so, Bitcoin was basically just a toy for a handful of tech nerds. It didn't really have any real-world value. Until this happened. May 22nd, 2010. A programmer named Laszlo Hanyaks gets hungry. He goes on a forum and offers 10,000 Bitcoins to anyone who will get him 2 pizzas. And someone did. This was it, the first time Bitcoin was ever used to buy something in the real world. A huge, huge moment. Okay, so what did those 2 pizzas actually cost? You might want to sit down for this. At one point, those 10,000 Bitcoins were worth, wait for it, around $400 million. Yeah, $400 million. It's just an insane number, and it perfectly shows you the absolutely unbelievable roller coaster ride of Bitcoin's value. That had to be the most expensive pepperoni of all time. So after that legendary pizza purchase, things started to get interesting. Bitcoin's value started to creep up, and it entered this chaotic, unregulated phase. We're talking about the Wild West era, a time of crazy growth, for sure, but also a ton of controversy. And the thing about Bitcoin, its greatest strength, its privacy and anonymity, was also its biggest problem. It was a total double-edged sword. On the one hand, you had groups like WikiLeaks who were cut off by credit card companies and banks. For them, Bitcoin was a lifeline. But then, there was the other side. It became the go-to currency for dark web marketplaces like the Silk Road. And that, unfortunately, gave it a really dark reputation that, honestly, it's still trying to shake. And just when you thought it couldn't get any wilder, the unthinkable happened. The danger of this new frontier became terrifyingly real. In 2014, an exchange called Mt.Gox, which was the biggest Bitcoin exchange in the world at the time, just vanished. It was hacked. 850,000 Bitcoins, gone. Just like that. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. It was an absolute catastrophe that sent shockwaves through the entire community. But the risk wasn't just from shadowy hackers. Sometimes it was just
Well, losing your keys. There's this famous story about a guy named James Howells. Back in 2013, he was cleaning his desk and accidentally threw out an old hard drive. No big deal, right? Except that hard drive had 7,500 bitcoins on it. It's the ultimate cautionary tale. And the craziest part, to this day, he's still trying to convince his local council to let him dig up the city dump to find it. So you'd think after all that chaos, the hacks, the dark web, the lost fortunes, Bitcoin would have just fizzled out. But it didn't. Instead, it started this slow, pretty bumpy, but steady climb towards something resembling maturity. The journey to the mainstream had begun. And a really crucial moment happened back in 2011. After working with the first wave of developers for a couple of years, Satoshi Nakamoto sent one last email and disappeared. Just like that, gone, and left behind a wallet with maybe 1 million bitcoins in it. By vanishing, Satoshi forced Bitcoin to become what was always supposed to be. Not one person's project, but a truly decentralized network run by everyone, by its community. Of course, run by the community doesn't always mean everyone agrees. As Bitcoin got bigger, some serious arguments broke out about how to make it grow, how to scale it. These fights got so heated, they led to something called forks, which is basically when the community splits and creates a whole new version of Bitcoin. You got Bitcoin Cash, which was all about making transactions faster. Then you had Bitcoin Gold, which wanted to make mining more fair. They were basically civil wars playing out in code. And while all this internal drama was going on, a whole new kind of person started showing up, serious, big money investors. You might have heard of the Winklevoss twins, right? The guys from the Facebook story? Well, they went all in on Bitcoin, launching one of the very first Bitcoin investment funds back in 2013. When guys like that started making billions, it sent a clear message. This wasn't just a nerdy hobby anymore. And that really set the stage for Bitcoin to go from the fringes to the global spotlight. Now it's a household name and a huge topic of debate pretty much everywhere in finance. And the last few years, man, things just went into overdrive. It started kind of small, with companies like Microsoft accepting it way back in 2015. But then, in 2020, PayPal gets on board. Suddenly, millions of people can buy and sell crypto easily. Then 2021 hits, and Tesla drops $1.5 billion on Bitcoin. That same year, the total value of all Bitcoin blew past $1 trillion. $1 trillion! The message couldn't be clearer. Bitcoin was officially in the big leagues. But let's be real, it hasn't all been smooth sailing. Not by a long shot. You've got major headwinds. Governments, especially China, have come down really hard on it. The price swings are just insane. Remember the huge crash in 2018? Plus, it's still the currency of choice for ransomware attacks, which is a big problem. And on top of all that, there's the massive debate about how much energy the whole network uses. These are some serious challenges. And yet, despite all those challenges, something happened in 2021 that no one saw coming. A country, El Salvador, became the first nation on Earth to make Bitcoin legal tender, like an official currency alongside the US dollar. It's this massive, real-world experiment that everyone is watching. I mean, think about that leap, from a niche internet curiosity to an official currency of a country. So that brings us right up to today, and it all boils down to one huge question. After this crazy, chaotic, and totally improbable journey, what's next for Bitcoin? Is this really the future of money? A revolutionary new system that's going to change everything? Or is it all just one giant, spectacular bubble that's waiting to pop? Honestly, nobody knows for sure. The next chapter of this story, well, it's being written right now.